Please be seated. I bring greetings from your neighbors and fellow Christians from St. Andrew's United Church down the street from you. I'm very happy to be back here. I think I was here 3 years ago for this Sunday, the week of prayer for Christian unity. Will you join me in a prayer? Let us pray. Gracious God, bless the words of my mouth and the thoughts of our hearts. Help us to grow in faith and in love, that we may be pleasing to you and a blessing to others. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Last 3 years have been tough, especially the years 2020 and 2021 made visible the immense suffering among God's family members. The worldwide COVID-19 pandemic, along with economic, educational, and environmental disparities, impacted us in ways that will take decades to repair. Some people even made a statement that COVID happened because the judgment day is near. Interestingly, our gospel reading this morning, which is from Matthew's gospel, has been noted as the text for the last judgment. In the reading, Jesus is seen separating sheep and goats, described as a king on his throne, rewarding his subjects according to their obedience to his great commitment of compassion. Now, when you hear the word, the last judgment, what comes to your mind? I don't want to admit to this, but most of us still think of heaven and hell and ask a question: am I going to heaven after I die? If those are the thoughts and the questions you have, Matthew suggests that you have missed the point. Maybe the question rightly asked is not what happens at the end of things, but more like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? What does Jesus want me to do, to be? How will my life be different if Christ is King? And the reading from Matthew's gospel this morning is the straightforward answer to those questions. According to Matthew, judgment is connected to actively reaching out to those in need, specifically to the least of this, to those who are at the bottom, those who are the most helpless, to those with no one else to care for them. These are God's favorites, the ones God sees in a special way. So get out there and serve God in your neighbor. Do good and save your soul from the judgment of eternal fire all at the same time. The Bible's central message is not about believing in God so you can go to heaven when you die. In fact, in Matthew, belief in and of itself is not sufficient for disciples. At the end of the Sermon on the Mount, which is in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus laments that many people will call him Lord, but only those who act upon his teachings can be his true followers. And in the Great Commission at the end of this gospel, Jesus doesn't say to form disciples who believe that he is the Messiah. But he says, teach them to observe every teaching I have commanded of you. And we have this parable this morning telling us to reach out to those in need, specifically to the least of these, to those who are at the bottom, those who are the most helpless, and serve them. This is a staple Bible quote for outreach ministry. And we try to be faithful in our commitment to outreach ministry, but pandemic made the whole thing of doing outreach ministry difficult. Before COVID, we at St. Andrews, we were doing neighborhood dinner on a monthly basis, and we serve about 100 people each month until COVID happened. And when we were hit by COVID unexpectedly, we had to stop this ministry. I know COVID brought Christians together in love, empathy, and solidarity, but churches struggled to do outreach ministry under the pandemic. I know we, St. Andrews, struggled to find ways to serve our neighbors, but we felt paralyzed by COVID safety restrictions. We did eventually find a way to do this outreach ministry by reaching out to other charities in our community who were able to operate their community programs still during the pandemic, and by supporting them with the funds that would have cost us to do the dinner at our church. It wasn't the same as doing it ourselves, but at least we were able to do something. And thankfully, we have now resumed this particular outreach ministry, and we renamed it Soups On, adding takeout option. Good stuff. Great ministry. We just had it last night. We were doing exactly what this morning's gospel reading says we need to do. But there is a bit of a problem in the parable we read this morning. Did you notice that those who have been gathered up at the right hand of the Lord, those who are called blessed of the Father, the ones we want to be, have only one thing to say to Jesus. They say, Lord, when? When was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food? Or when was it that we saw you thirsty and gave you something to drink? When? That's it. That's all they have to say. This is sad because of all the loss and all the struggle and all the pain that question implies. These folks, the sheep, the good guys, they were right. They did all the correct things, but they missed the greatest joy of all. They missed seeing the Lord. They overlooked the hidden presence of God in the faces of those they served. One of the reasons we have this parable may be to help us avoid that loss, to remind us what reaching out and caring and serving can be about at the level of greatest depth. Because it's very clear. No matter how right you are, no matter how much you serve the presence of Christ in others, if you don't pay special attention, if you simply don't look for Jesus in those you serve, then, like the good guys in the parable, you won't see him. And most of the joy is lost. Most of joy of doing good and being right and saving your soul from the judgment of eternal fire all at the same time, most of that joy is lost. Jesus calls us to serve him in our neighbors, in our brothers and sisters. In the least of this, that call is real. There are no excuses. But Jesus also calls us to see him in the face of our neighbors and of our brothers and sisters, and in the least of this. This is a spiritual call, a call to discernment as much as it is a call to action and to service. There is not a secret or mysterious way to do this. In order to see Jesus, we have to look at the people around us deliberately, all of the time. We need constantly to look as we remember what we are doing, why we are doing it, and what we hope to come from it. You see, the challenge to each of us is not that we are not doing the right thing. Rather, the challenge to each of us is that our calling to follow Jesus is more than a call to serve. The theme for the week of prayer for Christian unity this year is do good, seek justice. I think our accountability to Jesus' calling is more than a call to be good and more than to do the right thing. It is a call to look, to notice, to devote our days and our lives in the search for the face of God in all that we do. It's a call. Above all, it's a call to see. As Christians, we must be unified in seeing the face of God in those we serve. We must be unified in our responsibility to love and care for others as we are cared for and loved by God. In so doing, we live out our shared faith through our action in service to the world. In so doing, there is the greatest joy of all to receive. And may it be so. Amen.